Yeah, 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 Erk up. Hey, 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 look. And we back with another episode of the Millennial Dungeon. I go by the name of Steph, and welcome back to the Millennial Dungeon. So, y'all know what time it is. Jay, what time is it, Steph? We got Generation to Generation episode, part 3 today. How's everybody doing?
Well.
Nice.
Good. Thank you.
Hey,
Doing great.
that's what's up. So, we're going to take 10 seconds to introduce each other, and so we get them familiar. Don't be shy.
Ladies first.
Brother George.
Janice.
Dominic.
Michelle.
Joseph.
Okay. So I appreciate y'all for coming on this episode because this is the generation this is the episode where on different generations, older and younger generations, we try to talk to about certain topics and try to get to the middle ground and try to talk to what we like and what we dislike about the certain things and how things were done back in that time and how things are done nowadays. And today's topic is drumroll relationships. This is touchy for everybody. You know, everybody can relate to this. Everybody can disagree with it. Everybody can say, "Oh, this ain't shit," whatever. But we gonna find a middle ground somewhere, y'all. So first, we gonna watch a small clip.
Getting candid about love and marriage. The former First Lady doesn't hold back during a December panel with Revolt TV. When talking about her relationship with her husband of 30 years, Michelle reveals things with Barack weren't always picture perfect, especially for about a decade.
And people think I'm being catty by saying this. It's like there were 10 years when I couldn't stand my husband.
You do say that. You say
10 long
10
years. And guess when it happened? When those kids were little, right?
Mrs. Obama opens up about the early days before the White House when she and the former president were trying to balance family and their careers, reflecting that their responsibilities weren't always split 50-50.
And for 10 years, while we're trying to build our careers and, worrying about school and who's doing what and what, I was like, oh, this isn't even.
But the Light We Carry author says pushing through the challenging times with her husband has been worth it.
10 years, we've been married 30.
Wow.
I would take 10 bad years over 30. It's just how you look at it, right? And people give up for the 5 years. I can't take it.
How
it was
do you
bad.
know? What is the, because sometimes
You gotta know your person. Do you like him? I mean, you could be mad at him, but do you still look at him and go, I'm not happy with you, but I respect you?
Okay. What are your thoughts on what she said? Anybody can go first.
It's true. That's what a marriage or relationship is. So you have to take your good, your bad, and your ugly. So you will have times when you don't like your spouse or like your partner or like the other person. There's times when you don't even sleep in the same room or the same bed. Believe me, I've slept on the couch, no problem. Not a comfortable sleep, but it did. But eventually, you guys come around and get together and start back on that journey.
Yeah, I think what she said is important. That she said even though she wasn't, happy with the situation that was going on and throughout those 10 years and how she didn't feel like it was equal, she, at the end of the day, she still had love and respect for him. And, that's what carried her through. So, like, the fact that she still respected him as a person and, I think that that's important because if you like lose respect for somebody as a person or lose the love for them as a whole, then, I think that's a different situation where you might be willing to leave. Because she was talking about how some people leave within like 5 years, but if you lose the respect and the love for the person, that's different than if you're just upset with them, but you still respect and love them.
I think it was piss poor planning on both of their behalf because she said, when did it happen? When the kids was little. So it happened when they decided to have kids. Even though they was on a career path, they decided to have kids and they piss poor plan. Both of them.
Okay.
What was important for me is when she said you have to know your person. So knowing your person also lets you know if it's worth it. You know, good, even through the bad. It's like, okay, he's a good guy. This is a good woman. So in the end, it's worth it. But if you know your person is trash, then kids or whatever is not going to matter. Like, you know, everybody's going to have, bad times. Anybody who says it's all good, not sure if they're telling the whole truth, but it's just knowing your person and knowing that they're worth fighting for.
Well,
That's very
I
good.
think she was basically saying, far as like the struggle and trying to get their careers together and with the kids, I guess like that was kind of like basically saying like times get hard when you have kids. It's different. It's more bills now. It's more responsibilities. So it will get tense and the attitudes will come and the differences and like she said, oh, I couldn't stand them for 10 years. But then she said she was married for 30, so you got to outweigh the good with the bad. So she said she'll take that 10 over that 30 any day. Anybody would, you know. Ain't no relationship perfect. You're gonna have your ups and downs, but when you start to have a family with kids and stuff, things really change because now it's more responsibility for both parties.
Right.
And that's why I was saying piss poor planning. Because like for me, my experience I'm going through right now. When I was introduced to my lady by her sister, I made it clear to my lady I don't want to deal with anyone that has small kids. I've been there. I was married twice. Things went good. I've been with my lady 10 years. Tried to get married 3 times, but for some odd reason, it get close to the door, she get cold feet. So I done gave up on getting married now. But I tell her all the time, I'm number 4 on your totem pole. I'm number 4. I say most men won't stay being number 4. I love you. I love your kids. All her kids is grown, but we have 2 granddaughters now. 1 7 and 1 just turned 1. Her job is first. My lady job is first. Her kids is first. Her grandkids, then me. Okay. So I have a hard time Friday and Saturday because I get irritated because it's the grandkids' time. And like I told her, we didn't plan this. Your kids planned it, but you always step in and you want to babysit the grandkids every weekend. Even my mom and my aunt asked her, why you got to have them every weekend? She gets them every weekend, and her sons and their mothers get to be free. I don't get it. So I deal with that right now. But the only good thing about it, I got my own house, she got hers. So I get to go home. But it's irritating. I ain't gonna lie. That's why I say when she say what she made in the statement, like Sister Janet said, kids make it difficult. And she made it clear it had changed when they had the kids. So that was piss poor communication and piss poor planning for them, as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Lonnie, you got something to say?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. She said that she didn't like him for 10 years and she kind of just wrote it out. Like, I understand taking the good with the bad and maybe reading in too much. Is there?
Yeah.
Is that better now?
Say something.
That's better.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I mean, if you're continuously not liking someone for 10 years,
Yeah.
I can see like if it's on and off here and there, of course, relationships aren't happy. But I think you really have to know yourself if you're going to be that type of person. Because I know people who could be unhappy or not like a person and they can't maintain that level of respect and love for that person, even though they dislike them or they're not on good terms at the time. And I feel like a lot of people may try to push past and be like, this is a bad time. We're not happy. Unless like what the lady kind of alluded to with like, oh, well, what's like that time period? How do you know, like, 2 years, is this enough? Or 5 years or 10 years like her? Like at what point would she like, I'll continue to wait? because I think a lot of people lose that respect. And if I'm not happy with the situation I'm in, I think that leads to a lot of infidelity. So I feel like you have to know, you have to be able to understand yourself and know, I can push through this 10 years because I know most people that I know, I don't think would be able to stay in a relationship where they're not happy, they're not on good terms, they don't think things are even for a consistent 10 years without something going bad or like going the wrong way at some point in time.
Yeah. And I'm thinking too, because when I was watching the clip, I think she was saying a lot that is important too. But also, why I got out of it is when I think about relationships, I think of it as a team thing. I think of it as a team effort. Like it
Mm,
can't just be one person. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all have to build. That's what relationships and marriage is supposed to be about: unity, about building something together. But I feel like that's been
exactly.
lost in this generation. So, like, my question for the audience
And
or for y'all is: do you think that gender roles is important in this generation? Do you think that having certain gender roles in this generation now is important to have, or it doesn't matter who does this or who does that?
I don't think it matters, but I think it kind of touches on something I kind of want to touch on, which is, when she said she was kind of mad at him because she didn't feel like it was even, and she like
Mhm.
brings up the kids, so she kind of alludes to like she was taking care of the kids more. But like at that point in time, was she just a stay-at-home mom and he was kind of like working more? Because then at that point in time, once you kind of like expect for her to do more of like the, taking care of the house and being at home since he was like more of the worker person.
Yeah,
So I'm not saying necessarily I believe, the male or the female or whatever the situation may be, one person should have like assigned roles. But I feel like if one person is taking on a bigger role in one area, you know, like you said, it's a team. You work together. So maybe he was working more and she was taking care of the house more, or vice versa.
Let me ask y'all something.
Mhm.
When we play a sport, does we're gonna say basketball for instance, does everybody score 20 points a night?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Okay, so you take turns. Things happen. Somebody have a little bit more experience, somebody have less experience. So there's gonna be times when it's gonna be 70-30, 60-40, 50-50, and then it's gonna be the other way around. So, you gotta know your partner, know what you were getting into from the grip. So it shouldn't be, will you marry me, if before y'all got married, she was a bum or he was a bum, and then you think marriage is going to make a change.
Right.
So you get to know that person first before you decide to say, hey, I want to be in a committed relationship with you, or hey, I want to be married to you. Because a lot of people don't tend to do that. A lot of people don't tend to spend that time together, spend the weekend, maybe spend 3 days on vacation somewhere, or 3 days just at home, so you can just see what kind of person this person is. Is this person clean? Does this person cater to you? Does this person wake up in the morning? Is this person a night person? Does this person clean themselves after they use the restroom? Do the person keep the toilet seat up or puts it down? Do they wash regularly? Do they brush their teeth? All those things are signals. And if people aren't catching on to those signals, is he going to open up the door for you? Is he going to sit there and call you a B word over something silly? Those are signals. Catch on to the signals, and you make your judgment call from there.
I agree with you with that with Joe.
Care about a man's potential.
And I want to add to where I look at that, you don't necessarily have to catch on to the signal when you could communicate. When you could sit down and communicate, and you let your lady tell you what she expect, and you tell her what you expect. Now, back in the day, there was roles. My grandfather, he worked, my grandmother stayed home, you know. But then when he had to go to the war, he was in the army, then my grandmother had to step up. But then when he came back from the war, she didn't step down. She stayed in her role where she had stepped in. I think that's one of the problems with the world today. Men played one role at a time and a woman played a role. But then things start to change. Like when wartime happened, you had men that was drafted into the war, women was home, but then they start working in the stores and in the places where they made the bullets and all this type of stuff. And then when the men came home, they couldn't fulfill that role no more because the women had the jobs and stuff. And then women started getting to a point, where do I need a man now? I'm successful, just as successful he was then. So why need him now? And that's one of the things that I see a lot of in the world today, where women not necessarily interested in a good man. I had a conversation with a friend today, and she said, I'm having the issue. I'm an older lady, and my daughter is 19, and we both can't find no good men. And it's just an issue where she said men that she's been talking to, they want to play games. And she's 3 years older than me. She said they still want to play games. So it's like roles have changed, and I'm gonna let somebody else go. It's kind of like change, but I have always been that person where I communicate.
What was the question? Does somebody have a question for me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had a lot of questions, but you missed it. Don't worry about it.
Go ahead. I was taking a call from another panelist.
The question was about gender roles. Do you think they're important in this generation?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is because you can't have like it's the same thing like Joe was saying. When you're on the team, does everybody score 20 points? So even using that as an example, let's talk football. For anybody who knows football, you don't have 11 quarterbacks. You don't have 11 wide receivers. So there is roles for certain things, just like at a job. There's certain roles at a job. Everybody can't do the same thing. You may cross-train and have to help out with something, but for those who have a particular position and established at that job or on that team, I think it's the same thing in a relationship. Yeah, somebody can help out. Maybe somebody's more keen with cooking or going to the store or fixing stuff, but that person may need help. If they worn down a minute, it's like, no, babe, don't worry about it. I got it. So yeah, I do think it's roles. I don't think it's 50-50. I agree with what Michelle was saying. It can't be 50-50 all the time because even outside the house, people go through different things, which will allow you to change for certain things that you may be, worn out. What if the guy got to work, 16 days in a row for whatever reason, money for the vacation package is coming up, somebody else's hours got cut. So if he's working 16 hours, he may not be able to do some of that stuff that he was doing in the house. And that's where the other side come in and help out. And same thing on the flip side. But if you don't have any positions, in my opinion, if you don't have any positions or any roles, then you got blurred lines. And I thought you was going to do that. Well, I did it the last time. So yeah, it should be some type of established gender roles and stuff. No chauvinist on any side and no entitlement on the other side.
Okay. Miss Michelle, what are you gonna say?
So to piggyback off of what Mr. George says. So as far as roles and women, older women, which would be me, where I struggle with as far as when you say gender roles, because what I found now that I'm single again, I want to sit back. I want to let the man be the man. But what I've run across, I have a good position in my job, the intimidation. Back in my grandmother's day, yes, the men made more. The men had the better jobs. The women stayed home. And the roles have reversed. Like women are stepping up and, taking their place in the work world. So I feel as though in a relationship, I don't want the man to say, I want to be the man. I want to be the one to do this, to do that, because of intimidation based on my position. But yet, if you see me get out the car to pump my gas, you sit and watch. You can't have both. Like, you can't want to be the man and watch me pump my own gas. So it's like, there's not enough clarity for me in the relationship world today as what the roles are. Like, where do you stand? Like, I just, it's just not clarity. People do want to play games, which I have zero tolerance for. But it's just not as clear as it used to be watching like my grandmother or even my mom. It's not the same clarity.
It's because communication ain't there.
Oh, I'm a huge communicator. I communicate.
I'm not just talking about you. When
Oh.
you say clarity in the world today, I find that a lot of people don't communicate.
True.
One thing with me, my lady will tell you, I communicate with everything, but she still have a difficulty giving me what I desire. And I tell her all the time, and we talk monthly. We have a sit down conversation monthly of how I feel about this, how you feel about that. And the thing is, I find a lot of young people, they don't communicate. They don't communicate. Like you just say, you expect me to do this, but then you want me to pump my gas too. No, you can't have it both ways. You know, and that's where I think communication come in. You say, look, you're going to be the man. I have another friend, live right in Philly. She's married, been married for 18, 19 years. Her son even told her when he was 12, he said, Mom, you the maid. Her husband, they don't got nothing but a little patch of grass. Her husband don't weed whack the grass, she do. Her husband to go out there and wash his car, don't wash hers. They going somewhere, he sit in the passenger seat. They stop to pump gas, he let her pump it, right in Philly. Dangerous as it is. But when he ready for some cookies, she say he jump in that shower and I know he wants some. So she know what he does, but yet, and I told her, I say, why don't you tell him? I shouldn't have to tell him. Why not? Why shouldn't you tell him? You tell him when you get mad, when you get pissed off, you start telling him what he don't do. Why you can't tell him before you get pissed off? And she 2 years older than me, and he 2 years older than me.
But she should have known
Why
that
don't y'all
before they
communicate?
got together.
Exactly, Joseph. That's what I was going to say.
She
She's
should have known
allowed.
that before that.
Yeah, she's
People
allowed
do
that.
what you
You allow
allow
them
them
to
to
be
do.
crippled, and you
Hold
allow
on. Let's get Mr. Joseph, finish what you said, and then let's get what Mr. Janice was about to say.
What I'm saying is you this is what I mean when I said at the beginning, you meet somebody, you get to know them first. You can tell if that wasn't her first time getting gas. So while they were dating or getting to know each other and she went to get gas, he didn't get out to pump it, that right there is a signal. Okay, that's let me know what he's gonna be like. And then the same token of taking a shower. She knew that before the ring came, before the I do happens, unless it was one of those shows where, first sight of marriage or whatever have you. But other than that, no, you pick up on those things. When I met my wife, I picked up on certain things that she does. She picked up on things that I do. It worked out. So we're married 21 years now. And we still do the same thing. I watch her, I monitor what she's doing, see how she's doing. If she's not feeling well, I can tell. All right, babe, you know what? I got you. Don't worry about it. I'll take over. Just relax. Do your thing. And I'll take over. I'll kick in. Some points where I was busy working, going to school, and doing what I got to do. She noticed and she gave me my time. Said, babe, don't worry about it. I got this. You go ahead and finish up what you got to do. You finish up your schoolwork. You finish up your presentation or whatever you got to do. So you got to observe that from your partner. It can't be like a business transaction where you're constantly communicating and have to talk to that person. You should have built that relationship before you said I do, before you've been committed, where it's just one-on-one. That should be, come on, 20-something years, I still got to tell her, oh, do this, do that, do this. Come on, that should be just the norm.
Okay, Miss Janice, you got a minute. What did you have to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that people do what you allow them to do. So, like he said, that wasn't the first time she stopped to get gas, so she knew he wasn't going to be pumping no gas years later. If he ain't doing it when he first met you, he ain't going to do it now. If he ain't buy you no gifts, then don't expect no gifts now. If he didn't take you out, then don't expect him to want to jump up and take you out now. He ain't going to change like that. And if I know too, for a fact, and I have been told this by different men, if a man don't do nothing for you, he don't care about you. Period. And it goes both ways.
Who say that? Who say it goes both ways? Who say that it goes both ways?
I did.
And that's true. Very true.
But that was good. So what we're gonna do, y'all? We're gonna go on a quick little break right now. We're gonna come back with part 2 of the episode. So just stay tuned. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the second half of the Generation to Generation episode. So we got some new guests that joined second half. We got Rel, we got Miss Dr. O. How y'all doing?
Fine. How you doing?
I'm kicking it like a donkey.
Every time.
Yeah, I'm about to get him real quick. I don't want him to keep acting like an ass.
All right. I'm too childish. I'm my bad. But the second half, we got another clip for y'all to react to, and we're gonna bring it up.
I don't care about a man's potential at all. I don't. I care about his productivity, because now you wake up with the man in his boxers on your couch in your refrigerator scratching his, talking about when his dinner ready, and he don't even know how much your rent is. Right. There's no way. I don't play sleepovers. I don't play house. I don't do none of that. I don't play those type of games. There's no way a man is sleeping up comfortably or even coming over talking about something. I want to chill. My house is not an entertainment system, baby. That's not what we doing. You want to take me out, court me properly, date me properly, and I'm not a virgin. Let me tell you, it's harder to get now than it was then. You should have hit it then when I was open and I was naive. I didn't know my worth. But now here I am, and I'm a girl with depth, with substance, with coof. There's no way I'm even allowing a man to even know where I live at until he done proved himself. You don't even get the address. You don't even get the address. And this is what I be talking about. Women take things so lightly and men don't. So let's just go back to the narrative saying like a man wants you all in, and he wants you all in, and he's not all in because he's waiting for you to prove yourself.
Right.
It's not even because women give it up too easy. There is no that I am messing with a man, or any woman really wants to mess with a man that's spending his last. Any financially smart or literate woman does not want a man that's investing his last into you. Baby boy, I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm the girl that's gonna send you back. I'm gonna send you back. I'm gonna tell you, go get your shit together. Go get your shit together, and then double back on me, because I don't want you doing that. That's not smart. And now I'm thinking about our future. Will you take our last dime and go put it in some hoopla investment, some mutual fund, some Merrill Lynch?
She said a mouthful. So who wants to start first?
What type of man was she relating to?
Yes, she did.
What type of man was she relating to? I don't get that, because everything she said was to like a thug type person or a person that's low class. So if she's spending her time talking to a low class, then yeah, you could tell them that. If she talking to a man that's established, that's a well-educated, a well-groomed, a man that's going to treat her right, because she gave no signs of that. Only sign she gave is she was commenting to a bum nigga. I don't get that. And a lot of women that do that too, try to classify every man in the same category. And vice versa. You have some men that do that to women, try to put them all in the same category. But what type of man was she talking to?
Well, I think she was. Can I jump in?
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I absolutely agree with the sister, because what she's talking about is there's a lot of brothers. First of all, it's a lot of sisters that give themselves too quickly, too freely. And what she was saying was, you're not coming over my house, and I just met you, and you want to chill out and stay at my place. And I'm excited because you got a lot of young women, they look at a man and he got nice tennis shoes. And the next thing you know, they're in the bathroom giving the brother a blowjob because of his tennis shoes. He ain't bought her none. And so it's about courting. And that's what she said. I feel the same way. My application is not for girlfriend. I'm looking for a husband. I'm looking for a spiritual mate. I'm looking for somebody that can go the long haul with me. I don't want a man that's going to just see me and want to come lay up on me and me cooking. I'm going to cook. I'm going to serve. I serve my man. I never have had a man that just rolls out on me because I have standards. If you don't have standards, then you just get anything. Then you have a hard time getting rid of his behind. What did Erykah Badu say? Call Tyrone. Let him come get your stuff because I'm done. So I totally agree with the sister that if we as women of color don't have standards, there was an old song that said a man only does what a woman makes him do. So if I'm going to bed with you on the first night because you look good, then what does that say about me? And the next man that comes along, I'm going to do the same thing. And that's why today everybody's baby mama fussing over this and that because you just give up so easily. A man wants a quality woman to be with, but if you let me spend the night the first time I come, I may not be back or I'm just eating food off of you. I'm not, so we have to have standards.
Okay. Real. What you feel about this?
She was spazzing. But the main thing that sticks out is this sounds like a chivalry argument. And if we're having a chivalry argument in the modern era with the way dating is now, fair. If you have standards, cool. If you have expectations, understood. It's just I pray that with these expectation standards and so on, that the people that are saying these things also exist within standards and evaluations of themselves and don't just try to get the best from somebody else without coming correct properly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
In relation to my man, he was like, who was she talking to? Like, if you're a grown man, like, we have set boundaries, set expectations, set needs. Trust me, we already know what we're looking for. So if you come in either being a headache or you come in just giving it up early, as long as you can have qualities that keep you, I'm cool. But if your only quality is the draws, well, I'm not going to be around more than just the draws. You feel me?
Exactly.
2 pumps and a wiggle.
I mean, I think people need to kind of go into it knowing what they want. Like for men and women, sometimes, I mean, it's cool to just want to, people have needs and, sometimes you just want to have sex. And it's like, sometimes it's not deeper than that with that person, but you can't go in with somebody just wanting to have sex with somebody and then just like hope that they, turn into a potential boyfriend/girlfriend. Sometimes, that person is just like what it is. And like, I would say, like, if you're looking for a relationship with somebody, then yeah, you should get to know them more first, as opposed to like just kind of, just hoping and praying that after the first interaction that y'all just stick to. Sometimes it does happen. Sometimes, y'all meet somebody one night stand and it's like, hey, you're actually really good company. I actually enjoy spending time with you. But like, you don't go into the situation like, hey, I'm gonna sleep with you so that way you become my boyfriend/girlfriend. So,
Is it something wrong with me? I mean, I grew up Richard Allen Project back in the day. I lost girlfriends because I wouldn't sleep with them on the first night. I never slept with a woman on the first night because I always had a little thing about me where I got to get to know you. I want to know about you. And as I got older, I can't do nothing with you until I see your papers. I want to make sure you don't got HIVs, herpes. I want to see all that.
Thank you.
And you got to see mine. I just have a standard about me. That's why the first thing I say, who was she talking to? Because I tell people all the time, just because something look good don't mean they not carrying nothing. And that's
right.
Male and female.
Right, absolutely.
They could be dressed to the T, nice style of sneaks, nice to, how you know what they got?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Mr. George, we gonna let other people talk. So, Miss Michelle, what you got to feel about it?
I just feel like whether it's male or female, it's about knowing your worth and knowing
Right.
what you want. I mean, I feel like that's what it comes down to. If you feel like that's what you want to do, if you feel like that's going to secure the man or secure the woman, then that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna give it up the first hour in the day. But if you're looking for something more, then you have to set the standards for yourself. And it just comes down to knowing your worth.
Freeze.
Okay. Lonnie, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to switch it a little bit, I feel like when she mentioned potential versus productivity, and she like, I'm looking for someone who's like productive versus potential. I feel like her radar was kind of off with where she was looking, because again, it kind of goes back to like, who was she talking to? Because someone just sitting at home not doing anything, who is just eating all your food and smoking weed all day or doing whatever he does. That's not really someone with potential. Again, that's kind of like someone with a bum. When I think of someone with potential, I think of someone like, Pursuit of Happiness.
We can't hear
Still getting
you.
his stuff done. You
Miss
can't
O,
hear me?
turn off your mic, Miss O.
It's not on.
Lonnie, get a little bit closer to your mic.
Yeah, come a
Can't
little closer.
hear.
Miss O, turn off your mic real fast because I think it's echoing too.
I don't know why. It might be this place. You know how this place is. All right. I can't see it. I'm
Do
looking
I
at
hit
everything.
chat?
That's chat, but it has 6 people, 6 of you. So it's
Go ahead, Lonnie, finish up.
Terrell.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lonnie.
Okay. I was saying, when I think of someone with like potential, I think of like Will Smith and like Pursuit of Happiness. Someone who's kind of like still doing what they need to. They're out there like busting their ass, doing what they need to, whether it be investing in stocks. And of course, I'm not saying you should just be with someone who just throws their money into any or everything. But I mean, if they're doing the research, you're having those conversations, things of that nature. I just hate how she looked at,
We can't
productivity
hear
first
you.
versus potential.
Says you were
You were
muted.
Oh.
You guys can still hear me though, right? It's just them.
And now it's 7 on the chat.
Okay.
You good, bro. You good.
Yeah.
Hold on a second, guys. Dr. O, give me a call. Go ahead.
See, I feel like that just kind of bothered me because I feel like, people who say things like that, if you flip them and they would talk to, the Benzos or the 1% of the world, the people who have billions of dollars, I mean, those people fell on their face for years, time and time again, until, something just clicked and they made it. And a lot of those people have that woman who did stick it out with them. So I feel like, her looking at potential, you still have to be productive in some way and be, doing research or putting in the work or laying the groundwork or, building the framework. There has to be something being done to like go with potential. If someone's just kind of sitting there, I don't see that as, someone saying, oh, he has potential because what is he doing?
All right, so you say you can't hear. It should be. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all.
No, you're good. I was done.
Miss Janice, what you got to say about that?
Well, basically, sound like she was saying no Netflix and chill.
Basically,
I mean, basically, she don't, I don't knock her for how she feel because, she's right. A lot of times it's hard for a good woman to find a good man because a lot of women do sleep with men too early or like invite them over. You got kids, you shouldn't have a bunch of men in and out your house and you have small children. They look at that and they grew up and remember.
I just unmuted me.
That's not cool.
And then Terrell is muted.
And you have
the sound is not coming through.
The sound's not coming through at all.
If he just want to come to your house and lay up and he don't want to never take you
Put
out,
it on
then,
mute while I'm
you
talking.
accept that from the beginning and that's what it's
Okay,
going
I
to be.
wasn't talking though.
Okay. So I got a question for y'all because it was interesting what she said because the way I see it is I get it that we nowadays, especially in this generation, we all want people to come perfect like a Christmas present, just wrapped up and have everything we expect. But at the end of the day, it's not very realistic that everybody's going to fit every little checkpoint that you have. So it's like, I don't think it's nothing wrong with dating somebody with potential as long as they're ambitious. That's just how I feel about it. As long as they're willing to put the work in to get stuff done. But nowadays we don't see things like that. People just focus on seeing the end product instead of, they're in the race, but I want somebody that crossed the finish line already. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have a question for y'all. So do you think people have lost the sense of building together in relationships?
Some.
It depends on the journey, brother.
Okay.
If, like, for instance, all right, I met my wife, college graduate. You know, my upbringing, it was work hard, get noticed, and move up. At some point, you know, moving up in my career, you know, I got to the ceiling. It's like, okay, I can't go any further. I was told I need to go back to school. Hey, honey, you know, I'm looking to go back to school. She supported me in my journey. She was like, all right, babe, do what you got to do. You know, now I done finished that, went to grad school, finished that up. And now I'm trying to get myself where I want to be. Because my idea is I want to be able to provide and do more for my wife and my family. But together, she sacrificed, my kids sacrificed time that I was studying, time that I was putting in to do what I got to do for school. Everyone's making a sacrifice. So both parties need to be willing to give and take. So with, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, it was a give and take. He was doing something, she was doing something. Like I said, 60-40, 70-30. Everything's not going to always be 50-50. So,
anybody else?
Yeah, I like what Joe said. See, Joe did what I said earlier. It's about communication. He went and communicated with his wife. And again, I think that's one of the things that lack with the younger generation. They don't do enough communicating with the potential spouse or potential they have in their relationship. And I'm saying it could be the male or the female. Seem like it's a lack of the communication lines. You know, everybody, like you said a few minutes ago, you may look for something that already crossed the finish line versus somebody that just started. But where do you have that communication to say, this is what I'm looking for? So the person can say, well, I'm not that one. You know, I want a 2-year plan. Well, I'm looking at a 5-year plan. Well, we're not going to match together. That would solve a lot of the problem if people communicate.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if you say, I just want to hit it. I want to hit it. Well, give her the opportunity to say, no, I don't want that. Or yeah, I do.
Right.
It's all about communication.
Hold on, time out. Wait a second. You know, women come to us too. You know,
That's
give
what
us
I
the
say.
opportunity to say no.
That's what I say. I say vice versa.
And we can't just put that on the younger generation. This is one topic as far as communication, that it's not just the younger generation, because it's people.
I agree with you, Sister Michelle, but I say I see that in most younger generation. I didn't say it's only the younger generation. I say I see it in most younger generation. Because see, my lady have 2 young sons. I have a young son. So my young son is 26. Her young son is 29. Her other one, I don't count him so much young, he's 31. But still, they don't communicate with their ladies the way they should communicate. And my son, he has gotten better with his lady now. Because I told him, I said, you're not communicating with her enough. You're looking for her to do things, but you're not talking to her about it. And then when she get it wrong, you want to say something. Have you talked to her about it? Well, no, I thought she knew. No, she don't know. Don't think she know. Talk to her. That's why I say most in the younger generation. And for myself, like I said, I'm a communicator, and I sit down with my lady once a month, and we go over stuff. Were you happy? Did I do this? We go over stuff. So I'm not just saying it's the younger generation. I just see it a lot in the young ones because I'm around young ones a lot. So that's all I'm saying, Michelle.
Yeah, I definitely think what you're saying with that is like, it's just, I think the problem comes down to expectations, like to go back to the gender roles and everything like that, like we were talking about earlier. A lot of it just comes down to expectations, and expectations kind of get blurred when there's no communication. You're just like, they should do this, they should do that, but it's like you were saying, people need to talk about what should happen, because if you're not talking about it, then you're expecting it. If you're expecting it and somebody doesn't do it, then you're gonna be upset about it. So,
closed mouths don't get fed. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah,
exactly.
But quick thing with the communication aspect, in regards to, I know the younger generation, like I'm 29. I think, Lonnie, you around my age too, in terms of that overall.
Yeah, 28.
Right. The thing that I noticed, you're truly a product of your environment that you were raised in from that standpoint of communication. I know plenty of people who don't talk because their families don't talk. I know plenty of people who over-communicate because their family over-communicates, or where you're from the gutters, we not going to talk about emotions, or you a softer quote unquote individual, so you cry and all this, that people don't know how to interact with that. Like, there's those communication habits and styles that everyone has. And the modern generation, the younger generation, is so off the wall because half of these kids ain't go outside for real. So I find it to be very interesting when I interact with certain people now. A lot of people really don't have social skills, like, at all. They just either get emotional, or they don't take the time to really digest what's being said to them, or there's such a gap in between what you're expecting versus what you're putting forward that they don't know how to relate to or understand one another.
What you're saying is very powerful, because you kind of do what you see. And one of the things is also help young people and older people, be able to each other. And I'm getting ready to record my audio book, which talks about the African Mother's Guide to Creating a Free Mind. I am because the we. And it really outlines what my mother and father taught. My father was a coach, and he had one style. My mother was kind of from the hood, and she had another style. And the combination of them allowed me to have a very free mind. And I've always been an entrepreneur, and my father taught standards, and he didn't play, with us because he had girls. And, it's important that we, the elders, teach the standards. There's no guide to learning how to be a parent. And so that's part of what this book is about. Like, don't let the cell phone raise your children. We stay on these phones then we got stuff in our ears and we're not paying attention. And that's by design, really, so that we don't focus on what's really going down. And it's time for us in this world, like it says that y'all are supposed to be wiser. The newer generation is supposed to be wiser yet bigger. My mother could carry a bag around on her shoulder. Like I can't do that, because I got a bad back. Yeah. But it's things that they did. They farmed. They had someone in the backyard. They called it wacky weed. Everybody had something in the backyard to eat. You had food and regular stuff that you cooked. You didn't go to, I lived with a young lady in the Airbnb, and I never, ever, ever, ever saw the young lady cook food for her baby. All she did was order out every day. And I'm like, how can you just, and then the baby was off. So it really impacts us, what we put in our bodies, what we put in our minds. And I had 4 daughters. My third daughter's baby was premature, and she was at the height of her career. And she gave all that up so that she could raise her child. And COVID did amazing things to us because it made us reevaluate stuff, go within, go home, and not just be out here working 2 and 3 jobs. And our children are basically raising themselves. So back as what we did back in the day, we had the neighborhood. Now we just have the hood. And, the special messages that are coming out of the television. And, we have to learn how to have principles. And our culture is an ancient one. We are the founders of it. Yes. So we have to teach our young people who we are and share with you and guide you so that you know what to do and create, like these young people, all of them, the children.
Ms. O?
Yes.
I'm sorry, but
yes.
I was
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I just want to bring up another question. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had a question because you did bring up a good point about like how you have parents with 2 different parenting methods. So one of my questions I have is, do you believe that a lot of children learn how to look at relationships through their how they grew up with their parents? Because a lot of kids, especially nowadays, don't grow up in 2-parent households. So you think, does that play a factor in how they look at relationships later on? This is for everybody.
Absolutely. And we have to learn how to co-parent. We want to say, forget you, because you being with her. And, a lot of times we don't know the backstory. When you think about 1 out of every 3 young girls or every 6 young girls have been molested by the age of 12 by somebody they know. I think it's 1 out of every 5. And then with boys, it's 1 out of every 6. So you have all of this crazy stuff going on. You got to watch the children. You don't just let them. You got to teach. And TV is not teaching. And talk to them. You got to talk to them and teach them.
So,
and so.
Can you hear me? You good? You were just breaking up. We're gonna let somebody else go until your thing get reception again. So anybody else want to answer that question I just asked?
Yeah, I got you. That's an easy one. Should I use me as an example? I come from a family where both sides, it's broken marriages until my great grandparents on both sides, like down the line, everybody, like no one who had kids is like together. There's co-parenting, there's non-co-parenting. I would deem that watching how it all interacted, you don't really get a practice for a proper foundation for certain aspects of relationships, whether that even is to your partner, your parents, your friends. Some people get the wrong impression of what people are supposed to be doing because they didn't have the foundation in order to process the initial. And from that, that's where you get the daddy issue thing. That's where you get the mommy issue thing. That's where you get all those little foundational pieces that cause so much turmoil and concern to get to the next stage of anything. And I find it funny. It's like having anyone who had drug addicts in their family. You either pick the opposite lane or you pick the same exact lane, and you watch it happen as like a generational curse almost for how things come out and how the outcome is. But that's kind of where we at today. We pick and choose based on what we know. you go and jump to your instinct naturally, especially when things get hot or hostile or whatever. So that's just what it is.
Anyone else?
Unless you develop more as a person, which a lot of people just don't do, because don't read.
Anybody else want to answer the question?
Jarrell, brother, kudos to you, man, because same token here with the whole thing with drugs and relationships not happening. So you get to choose what side you want to do. My mom, 11th grade school reading, 11th grade, and she dropped out. My dad, 6th grade, dropped out. And now I'm over here finishing school, trying to make a better route or better directions for my kids so they can have something to look up versus what I see. So, everyone has to take responsibility for themselves and make that change. We can't really point blame to everybody because you have a choice to what your destiny is going to be. Whatever happens, happens. A lot of us done been abused and been beat and been told you're going to be a drug dealer or dead or something else.
You ain't never going to be nothing.
But you got to make a choice. You're going to use that as fuel to light you inside to make you better, or you can make them feel like they've accomplished something by telling you what you're going to be. So I took that as, guess what? I'm going to be better than anybody else.
Exactly. It's that old saying from the movie. I can't remember the name of it. It was Denzel Washington and the other brother that got he was in the Navy or something, but he went to his mother. One of my father's sayings is, "I'm still standing. Regardless of what you did to me, I'm still standing." And that's what you said, which is very powerful. You have to make a choice, because we all got drug addicts in our family. Please, but you have to make a choice about what you're going to do. And when you have children, why repeat the same thing? Sit them down, read them stories. It's all kind of books out there. The Marley brother, Ziggy Marley, now he's coming out with a line of books for children. So you pass on the legacy and you teach the children, like one of the parents, even with Serena and Venus, they broke up. The same thing with Beyonce and her family. They broke up. But life has stopped. You figure out a way to take care of your family. One side, I have 4 daughters, 6 grandchildren, only 1 granddaughter, and I have 14 great-grandchildren.
Ms. O?
And I teach, excuse me.
I'm sorry, because we about to time out. I'm sorry to cut you off. So I just wanted to just close out and just tell everybody thank you for coming on. I appreciate everybody's.
I've enjoyed this.
I enjoyed talking to y'all. Y'all really put me in perspective in a lot of things when it came to relationships. And hopefully we get to do this again. And
hopefully so, yes.
Thank y'all. With that being said, I go by the name of Steph, and this has been another episode of Millennial Dungeon. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace out.
Take care.
Yeah. Erk up.